We're your official #1 station for 2013. It's The Big Stick. It's Foxy 99. I'm Beige Jr. And joining me today in the studio is Brandon Price from Fayetteville Urban Ministry.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, man, it's a beautiful day.
Matter of fact, I want to wish you a happy Father's Day.
Man, thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
And today's show is basically a topic about...
Just being dads.
Yeah, just being dads.
Yeah, well, you know what's crazy is, I always tell people, I grew up, my dad was in the home. My mom and dad are still married, and that's a very beautiful thing. But, you think that you have your dad in the household, you think you got that, that one-on-one, father, son, go fishing, and stuff like that. My dad, we didn't really get to do all those things a lot. And, because my father worked a lot. And so my father's the baby at 8. His dad was, had to go to work every day. And so when I was young, I thought that my dad wasn't doing what I needed him to do. I wanted to go play basketball. I wanted to throw the football. I want to go fishing. My dad wasn't in that kind of stuff. So my dad loved me the best way he knew how because he saw what his father did, and his father went to work. So, those kind of things. Now that I'm older and I'm a dad, I understand that, my dad loved me the best way he knew how to love me, and it didn't mean that his love was any less. Is that he loved me by coming home every day. He never came home, drunk, beating on my mom, doing those types of things, but he didn't have all the kind of time that I really wanted to spend with him when I was, 10, 14, 15 years old, because he had to go to work every day to provide for me and my family. So when you think about dads and you think about relationships, that's really what it is. It's somebody standing in that role to make sure that you don't go without. And now that I'm a dad, of course, I understand that. So that's where we are.
It's The Bigger Picture on The Big Stick. It's Foxy 99. I'm Beige Jr. And joining me today in the studio is Brandon Price from Fayetteville Urban Ministry. And we're talking dads, basically.
That's it. And you know what? It's so funny. I know when we was off the air just a second ago, he was like, well, how do you define dad? And I think like anybody else, anybody can, go out here and make a baby. That's easy. That's the easy part. Being a dad is simply being there, providing, obviously. And if, there's some circumstances that prevent, some dads from providing, but there are ways to still be a father and taking the time with a child, if not your child biologically, because there's a lot of people that are in positions of playing that quote-unquote father role. I talk specifically about Find a Friend. A lot of our kids don't have fathers in the home, and they don't have, some of these kids don't have any dad or any father figures. So the only people that they have that are males that speak into their life are either teachers, preachers, the Mr. Brandons and Mr. Johns and Mr. Marks that work with Find a Friend, and the Beige Juniors that they hear on the radio, the Mike Tex that they hear on the radio. So it becomes exceedingly important that we understand our role, not only as men, but as potential father figures, because we don't get to choose whether we're somebody's father figure or not. We only get to choose what we do about it. And so we can ignore it and act like it's not really, a real role, and we can, be completely careless with that. Or we can say, what, I want to make my presence count, because you really don't know who's looking at you and looking up to you and looking over to you for guidance. What we teach the kids is that you may be the only Bible some people read. You may be the only, I have kids in my program who struggle with sexual identity, and a lot of people want to always talk about, well, how do you handle that type of thing? And it's such a touchy topic that this is always my answer, even with dealing with these kids, is that don't let that one element be the only thing that people have to say about you. And you're smart, you're artistic, you're intelligent, you have a great personality, you're a beautiful person. There's a laundry list of other things that you can include outside of that one element, and because I'm a man, and I'm sometimes talking to some young men who struggle with that, I think it helps them understand that, this is not all there is to life. And those things are really important when you talk about relationships, because it's bigger than just being a father, babes. It's about building positive relationships with our young men and women in this community, whether it's your next door neighbor, whether it's your nephew or niece, or the kids at the program, or kids that listen to you on the radio. So I know that as we get more into this conversation, we'll talk a little bit more specifically about some of the qualities or or criteria that define being a father or being a dad. But those are just some of the immediate things that jump out at me. So I kind of say that just really to say, if you're listening to this and you're a man and you're in a position, to have a relationship with somebody else, a child, for whatever reason, understand that role is very critical. Because you may not be their father and you may not be in a position to be a father figure, but you're still a man. And for some of kids, you're the only man that they get to talk to.
It's The Bigger Picture on the Big Stick. It's Foxy 99. I'm Beige Jr. Joining me today in the studio is Brandon Price from Fayetteville Urban.